Up next on Eco Company,
we'll meet Gerty. She's a yellow VW Beetle, but she's no ordinary car.
I think my favorite part is when we changed the license plate and Gerty officially became Volkswagen.
Gerty's got something new under the hood because this family decided to green her up.
Plus, teens as the eco-veterans.
I think if you teach kids how to help the planet and save the planet when they're really young, they're going to keep that for their whole life.
These teens are checking up on the 4th graders at their old stomping grounds.
Then, Jordan goes to Nashville. She's there to be trained by Al Gore and the Climate Project, then puts her training to work. Eco Company
starts now. Hi everybody, thanks for tuning into Eco Company. I'm Jordan.
And I'm Jelena. So, what do you and your family do together?
Maybe a family project?
We found one family who did just that, and in a big way.
They decided to green up the family car and had a lot of fun in the process.
Meet the Bheda Family from Saratoga, California. Hemant, Monisha, Debanshi, Pranav, Krishna, and the family's newest addition, Gerty.
She is a Volkswagen Super Beetle, 1972.
Gerty's no ordinary bug either. The family turned her into a plug-in electric car. Hemant and his son Pranav came up with the idea while driving.
A bug went by and we were talking about the bug. Says, why don't we do some project together? And I said, how about an electrical car?
My dad actually had always wanted to make an electrical car when he was in college.
He was saying, but isn't that going to be too difficult? And I said, oh, we'll figure it out.
And so the Bheda's mission began. First off, finding the right car.
Yellow is my favorite color, so when we met Gerty, who's become a part of our family now, it was a no-brainer.
Then the work began, and it's a job that took the whole family.
Pranav, he did most of the work, changing the brakes, changing the suspension, working on the transmission. Debanshi helped with the installation of the motor.
Every time I came home, it would be basically what we would do all weekend. It would be the talk of the dinner table. Every time I called from school, that's all we could talk about. I wanted updates about the car.
My role was to keep them well fed and inspire them.
My little sister was definitely like the cheerleader of the project.
I think my favorite part is when we changed the license plate and Gerty officially became Volkswagen.
Not everything was easy. A few problems held things up, like swapping out the old combustible engine for the new electric one, while Debanshi was home from college.
We were trying to put in the motor, and that was really challenging. We spent the whole weekend trying to get it aligned. We did some research, and we realized we needed just a $3 alignment tool that could make the whole process a lot easier.
Pranav, who's in high school, says another big challenge was figuring out where to put not 1, but 12 batteries.
The hardest part was the design of the batteries fitting in, because of the weight and the actual space in the car. So these are 6 of the 12 batteries, and they are connected to the controller.
The other 6 are in the back, and each weighs about 50 pounds.
So this is pretty much everything we've done. This is the controller, which is the brains of the electrical car. It controls the motor. This is the motor, this is the controller.
Now for the easy part, plugging her in.
We just take the power cord, one end into the wall, and the other right here.
Hemant and Pranav also took the old engine apart as an exercise to see how it works and check out what they found.
This is where the gas gets burned, and you can see all this black surface because of the carbon.
Gas gas, it like pollutes the environment. But then having an electrical car, it doesn't pollute the environment.
With the electrical car, with today's technology, you can get up to 80, 100 miles. And for most of us, it is a practical mode of transportation. Electrical vehicle is the way of the future.
That future became the present for the Bhedas when the moment of truth arrived.
When we were finally going to start the car, do the last step, put in the batteries and start it, I booked a special flight home so that I could be a part of that.
So, it was time to find out whether Gertie's wheels would spin. And the family's video camera was rolling.
Slowly.
When we hit the accelerator, the wheels moved, and it was really exciting.
The wheels moved, they turned. It was just very exciting. It worked.
The interesting thing was that, even though how much my wife inspired us all, when the car worked, she says, gee, I never believed you guys were ever going to get this thing done.
These days, the Bhedas take Gertie on short trips around the neighborhood and on errands. And of course, it's available for special occasions. And that sounds like my cue.
Now it's time for me to take a spin in Gertie. I'll catch you guys later.
Wow, it's so quiet in here.
We want to know what your family does to green up your household.
Tell us in a video and upload it to our website at eco-company.tv.
Still ahead, Jordan gets trained by Al Gore in the Climate Project.
And I don't think I've ever sat in a room for 2 days and just taken notes the entire time, but I also never felt more inspired to really make a difference.
Then we tag along as she speaks to students on Earth Day.
But first, 4th graders learn about recycling.
It's good to learn when you're young how you can make an impact on this earth.
And alums come back to check on them. More Eco Company is ahead.
Welcome back to Eco Company.
We just met a family who is making a difference when it comes to greening the environment.
And the truth is, you're never too young to start.
We found a group of 4th graders who are not only learning about recycling and composting,
they're maintaining the tradition started by their predecessors.
It's lunchtime at Prospect Sierra Elementary School in El Cerrito, California, a campus committed to greening things up. From a zero-waste lunch program to recycling and composting, students here are doing it all, and then some.
We're, as a world, releasing too much carbon into the air, and so we're all trying to reduce doing that at our school by recycling and composting.
It'll help us make the world last longer and make it lower global warming.
And the water level's gonna go up.
Opposite of the ice age, and we don't want that to happen.
So these 4th graders are taking action because protecting the environment is something they take very seriously.
Who's your science teacher?
And so do these guys. They're alums who've come to check up on their old stomping ground.
You know why I'm here? No. Well, when I was in 4th grade, we did all of this stuff with recycling and composting, and so now I'm coming back here to see what you guys are doing.
High school students Leah Henry, Mariah Dawson, and Max Brower were once 4th graders here themselves, and they helped to get a campus-wide trash audit off the ground.
I thought it was like a ridiculous thing to do, but then at the end, it was really kind of shocking how much recycling was put into the trash and how much other stuff we could have taken out.
I think that's definitely made a big impact on how I look at things.
It really makes you aware of how much trash is actually recycling and the amount of waste that you produce.
I think it was a great thing for us 4th graders to do.
Which brings us to these 4th graders who are carrying on the tradition. After filling up on lunch, they get their marching orders.
Let's go to Mrs. Puckett's office.
First up comes collecting trash from bins around campus.
There we go, right there.
Right now we're doing an all-school audit where the 4th graders are taking all the recycling, compost, and trash cans from each one of the classrooms and the staff room, and we're gonna sort through it and see if people are recycling, composting, and putting the right things in the right bins.
And if we're not, then the 4th graders can go in the classrooms and teach them what to put in, like how to do better.
Then the sorting and weighing begins.
We're weighing the trash, the compost, and the recycling.
And see what we're wasting and what we can do to recycle more and compost more and make less trash.
Pretty dirty work, but we've learned what goes where, and also it's good to learn when you're young how you can make an impact on this earth.
Science teacher Phil Gilson is the guy who makes sure all goes smoothly.
We're going to weigh the bucket and all the compost in here, right?
The big part of this is really trying to teach kids about what is a carbon footprint. So a lot of people hear these words, carbon offset, carbon footprint, global warming, but we don't really quite understand how these things are actually connected, how they're connected with us when we're eating our lunch.
So just how much waste does the average school create? That's what we asked Mariah's mom, Deborah Moore. She's the executive director of the Green Schools Initiative.
The Green Schools Initiative is a nonprofit, and we work with K-12 schools to engage students in reducing the environmental footprint of their school.
Moore started the program when, as a parent, she realized schools needed to do a lot to green up.
A typical size school generates about 2,000 tons of carbon a year, generates about 19,000 pounds of garbage per year.
Food waste makes up about half of a school's waste stream. Then there's all that paper.
An average size school uses about 3 tons of paper a year, and if we multiply that by 125,000 schools, it ends up being the equivalent of about 6 million trees a year.
So what have these guys found out today?
We're finding food scraps and pieces of paper and stuff where they're not supposed to be.
We're learning what the other classes need help with, and the kindergartners need a lot of help.
The process is really about changing habits.
It really carries through, because I know even like in my life now, whether I'm conscious about it or not, like there's always kind of something in the back of my mind saying like, oh, you should be composting, you should be recycling.
And the big ones are probably paper and cans, because those are, you see in trash cans all the time, but those are the easiest things to just throw in a recycling bin.
It's a lesson that brings generations together to clean things up.
I think if you teach kids how to help the planet and save the planet when they're really young, they're going to keep that for like their whole life.
And that goes for their parents too.
I'm gonna tell them all about this tonight.
Yeah,
And my
I'm
brothers
gonna
too.
teach my little brothers too.
So from digging through the trash, making sure they're not creating as much of it to begin with, these guys have a message for us all.
I just hope everybody recycles and composts and puts everything in the right place and tries to reduce the amount of garbage.
The environment is always better with less waste, and whatever you could reuse is it's always good.
Coming up,
our goal is to find the teenage leaders on the climate crisis, those who are out doing things in their schools and their communities, and then to train them to provide solutions to climate change.
teens from all over the world gather to be trained by Al Gore. Stay here for more Eco Company.
My co-host Jordan was so excited when she learned she'd be trained by Al Gore, and we were too. So we gave her a pocket camera to record the experience.
The Climate Project is a nonprofit organization that was founded by former U.S. Vice President Al Gore. And the organization supports different presenters from all over the world that go out and give presentations on climate change. Everything about climate change, from the problem, how we caused it, and most importantly, the solutions and what we can really do to fix the big problem that we've created. I was so excited when I got the email that I was selected to be trained at the International Presenters Training in Nashville. There was about 30 teens total and 670 people from all across the world.
We're
we're here ready to meet some new adults and mingle with some other youth and get to know everybody. So tell us, what are you up to?
We're at the opening session of the Climate Project today. We're meeting a lot of really cool people.
It's a fantastic opportunity for youths like us to meet just really experts in their fields.
Inconvenient Youth is a group that is part of the Climate Project, but it's specifically for teens. So all of the teens that are involved in the Climate Project are part of Inconvenient Youth.
Our goal is to find the teenage leaders on the climate crisis, those who are out doing things in their schools and their communities, and then to train them to give presentations based on the science behind climate change and then to provide solutions to climate change.
As a Canadian, I think the Arctic issue is really important because a lot of Canadians forget that we have people in our country who are going to be really affected by climate change and already have been because of the melting of the Arctic sea ice.
I'm sort of very interested in the idea of communicating climate change to people who don't know about it, and I'm quite interested in physics, so I know sort of very explicitly we only have one planet, and so I feel it's an important thing that I should be helping with as much as I can.
We literally sat down all day except for a few breaks and listened to a wide variety of presenters who were all incredible, talking about different things. Al Gore was one of them, so he gave us his slideshow. They showed us the facts exactly how they are and the huge problem that we have created, and it was shocking, it was eye-opening. It's a controversial issue, and the fact that somebody has taken such initiative on an issue that some people might not agree with you is incredible. I never knew that you could write to your local politician and how influential that can actually be, and telling them how important it is for you and how important you still want to have a world to live in that's clean and healthy, and you want to go out there and look at a green world. And they talked about how important that was and how teens were changing their politicians' opinion on the issue. And I don't think I've ever sat in a room for 2 days and just taken notes the entire time, but I also never left a place and felt more inspired to really make a difference, and felt that I could make a difference while I was there.
When I go back to California, my hometown, I'm gonna be giving presentations of my own, how it is very important that we teenagers act together to help solve this crisis.
Recycling is a key issue because in the United Kingdom our recycling is quite poor. So I think if we can try and push that forward, then that would help.
We need to be respectful of everything else that we share the planet with.
To have a future, we need to have to act right now in order to save the environment.
We all can make a difference together, and we have the materials, we just need to go out there and take action. We can act now, and we want to act now.
Well, that's it from Nashville, where I've had such an incredible time. I'll see you guys later. Coming up, I head to this school to talk about climate change and all the things everyone can do to help. Don't go away. Being trained by Al Gore and the Climate Project was so amazing. They prepared me well for what I'm about to do. Talk to middle school students. I better go head inside. When I prepare for a presentation, I think about the audience. So today, what's the best way to convey the information to middle school students and make an impression? Well, here goes. I'll just give you a quick background on how I got involved in the... I like to start out with a quiz to get them started. And, of course, a few giveaways. So what pollutes more, the average home or the average car? I think I saw your hand first.
The average home.
Wow, exactly. And you get an Eco Company wristband, which you can wear. It says, "Be part of the solution." When I get into the real issues, one of the slides that makes the biggest impact is the slide that shows the rise in CO2 levels. Okay, so this may look confusing, but I promise it's not that confusing. So it's a graph of CO2 concentrations. When I showed them the graph of CO2 concentrations projected in the next 35 years, I could see in their faces, I mean, they were just completely shocked. So CO2 is a greenhouse gas, and it's the fact that we are emitting too many of these greenhouse gases that it's like putting a hoodie over a globe. Then I get into the main theme of my presentation, which is always about choices, because we all make so many choices every day, and there always is a greener alternative. And from the minute you guys all woke up this morning, you started making these choices. Whether it was the toothpaste you used, the cup you drink your coffee out of, even the clothes you wore, how you got to school, the lights you turned on, even the food you bought. Just think, if you guys stopped using plastic water bottles, brought your own to school, simple choices like that can really make this world a better place. I think the presentation went really well. Many of them came up to me afterwards saying, oh, I didn't know this or that, or I didn't know I could make a difference.
That was an amazing presentation. I was really impressed by all the easy things you can do to save energy.
I didn't know that your computer still is kind of taking electricity even when it's on sleep. So I know from now on I'll unplug everything.
Very inspiring. You know, it's good that somebody who we can relate to as a kid, get a teenager too, tells us about this stuff.
People listen to us, they really do. We are the voices of the future and we need to make a difference while we can. Thank you guys.
She did a fabulous presentation, what can I say? I really enjoyed it.
Well, that wraps up another episode of Eco Company. Thanks for joining us.
For more information about the stories in our show, or to give us feedback, check out our website at eco-company.tv.
Or find us on Facebook. We'll see you next time
on Eco Company.